Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for what I know is going to be a really interesting discussion about NeurOptimal and the research that Dr. Hundley has done on using NeurOptimal with ADHD and emotional regulation. And so welcome to all of you. And of course, Dr. Hundley, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to talk about the studies you've done and the outcomes you had from them. Before we dive into that, I would love to have you talk a little bit about your history and particularly your education.
Any conversation about NeurOptimal topic of passion for me. So, and I've been using NeurOptimal for 18 years. That's quite a bit. So my background, I say I came from the dark side. That's I used to be a psychiatrist. At the end of the day, it's not bad because now I am extremely blessed to combine medical knowledge and psychosocial. Now I'm a counselor and marriage and family therapist, EMDR certified therapist, and I'm an EMDR consultant. So that is extremely helpful to combine my medical knowledge and counseling knowledge. I was very unhappy psychiatrist, like really prescribing medications. That's it. Psychotherapy was prohibited for two reasons. When communists came to power in 1917, they started the revisions of the science. So communists decided to close the field for two reasons. Because father of the psychotherapy was Freud, and he was a Jew. They didn't like that. He talked about sex. They didn't like that. And they just closed the field for 70 years, almost 70 years. Now, back in Soviet Union, especially in Russia, psychotherapy is beginning. It's been existing for last 15, 20 years. Back in Uzbekistan, I earned my MD. I went ahead and earned my PhD in psychiatry and addictions.
Okay.
So, and then I immigrated to United States, was looking, searching, and came across this counseling. I didn't know what it is. I did the little research, and I'm like, oh, that's what I was looking for. And started all over, got my, earned my master's and PhD in counselor education. And right now, I'm a core faculty at the University of Central Florida, and been teaching there also for 18 years. And so do teaching and also small private practice, which kind of combination of two is very helpful. And that's how what led me to use NeurOptimal with in my private practice, how I started.
Okay.
I use a combination of pretty much with all my clients. I'm a trauma therapist, trauma, complex trauma, DID, dissociative identity disorder. And almost with all of my clients, I use neurofeedback, NeurOptimal with EMDR. And now I'm introducing IFS. Of course, I need to, I'm always searching. So
okay. Yes, good.
Workshop, another training. So I guess it's a coincidence. I was taking another workshop. It was 19 years ago. And there was a clinician who talked about neurofeedback. I'm like, tell me what. She was so passionate. So she's my colleague in Florida. And I said, can you tell me? Can you show me? And she says, you need to come and try it. So I came, I tried. I remember I left her office and I'm like, oh boy, what a waste of time. So I was driving to university, and first signal, was like I found myself peaceful,
Mm.
which typically is not my type. I'm type A. Like, so I'm looking at
Or-
the red light, and I'm like, oh, interesting. That's it. Moved on. Came home very late after teaching, and started doing dishes, laundry. My husband says, "What are you doing?" Because normally I'm very tired, but here I have energy and still did not pay attention. Finally, next morning, I woke up. Normally, in the morning, I'm very grumpy. Give me 30 minutes. Don't look at me. Don't touch me. Uh, I got up and it's like, hey, good morning. And I'm like, what is going on? So I called my colleague, said, is it possible that, and she says, I told you. So I experienced something which I was very, working very hard to ignore the effects of NeurOptimal, and she had NeurOptimal at that time. If, for the first time in my life, I experienced a noticeable shift in me that I could not experience with any types of therapy. And I tried different things. So the first study was on ADHD. And the reason we decided to go with that because I knew that neurofeedback is extremely helpful for clients with ADHD, generally speaking. And by then, I had tons of clients, adults with ADHD, children with ADHD, and I saw results. The results of first study were amazing. A improvement in depression scores, anxiety scores, that self efficacy, self regulation scores. One thing, there was a dramatic improvement on ADHD assessment, Connors. In this study, by the way, in the second study, we had treatment and control. So what that means that when treatment group were getting treatment, the control group also got assessments, but was not getting neurofeedback treatment. But when this group was done, we, out of courtesy, provided the treatment for the waiting group and also collected the data as well. So all the scores showed significant difference between there was pre, mid, post, and follow-up. So the most significant difference in lower levels of anxiety showed at the post and follow-up. So that indicates that not only there is improvement, but it's a steady, continuous anxiety, the impact on anxiety even after.
And when was the like how big a time frame between the pre and the post?
We did 16 sessions as well. So that was about 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And follow up, I think, was 30 days or something like that. So again, we saw improvements. The treatment with NeurOptimal showed significant difference between pre, mid, and post and follow up. I think this is a huge information. It's a positive
Yes.
information for those who use NeurOptimal.
Mm-hmm.
That means that change is happening. It's just for some, if there is opportunity, because 16 is just more practical
Yes.
number. But as we know, more the better.
Yes. And so you saw a statistically significant change on all of the measurements you use, the depression, the anxiety, the stress.
Yes, day in, day out. I see what's happening, how it's happening. I see changes. I see combination of changes, and I'm combining neurofeedback now, NeurOptimal with EMDR. So, which is a fabulous combination. Um, so I think that is extremely helpful when uh, we are using a treatment
Mhm.
and the researcher knows what this treatment is about.
Right, right. So the
Uh,
design is more fitting with how change naturally occurs in a therapeutic environment.
Absolutely. I didn't have to imagine.
Right.
I didn't have to, I knew exactly. And the training, my training, when I trained students how to use NeurOptimal, I was absolutely comfortable because I could answer all the questions. I knew exactly where, how, what. Um, and I think that was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a lot of work, but extremely helpful.
Mm.
So, anybody who is attempting to do research and among clinicians, I think that would be extremely helpful. But I was just in a position, I'm still in a position that I can do. I work at university, but I'm also a clinician. Generally speaking, uh, being a clinician and teaching at the university, it's a just perfect combination. So, NeuroOptimal is a self-regulation tool. And this is just one side of the story. The largest advantage is language is not necessary. I can see people that they don't speak English, NeuroOptimal can help them. Advantages of using NeuroOptimal with PTSD is that individuals with PTSD and any clients with any psychological issue, there is a stigma, there is a anxiety. I don't want to talk to stranger. I say you don't have to talk, knowing that at some point they will. Here I am doing my notes. A person is on neurofeedback. I let them be. They're reading book or whatever. And then session 3 or 4, they like, I have a question for individuals with complex trauma. It's like more attachment issues. So whenever they come in, they go on NeurOptimal. And based on clients' feedback, here's what they say. They say uh, NeurOptimal is like a little buffer.
Mm.
When I'm on it, I feel safe, which
Uh-huh.
safety is a big issue for individuals with trauma, right? Almost immediately, session 3, 4 takes care of panic attacks. If panic attacks disappear, there is a story behind panic attacks.
Right.
So then we
Yes.
start working on that. But that, like a big hatchet, is gone. So then I have to worry about that. The nightmares, night terrors typically get better on neurofeedback. I can give you one example, which somehow I tracked her. So, a client with dissociative identity disorder, I put her on neurofeedback, and I did psychoeducation. I did breathing, grounding with NeuroOptimal. When she came in, she had 7 alters. Session 30 on neurofeedback, she had 2. And she said that neurofeedback was like a, again, buffer, peacefulness, uh, and also outside of sessions, she knew that she will come back at
Mm-hmm.
certain day and she will be okay. And that thought that she will go on neurofeedback gave her a sense of, okay, I should not be panicking right now. I'll be okay. Tomorrow I have an appointment. I'll be fine. Most parents, they find neurofeedback when they just don't feel comfortable with prescribed medications.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of parents, which are understandable. completely understandable. And they say, I want to try all alternative stuff before we go on medication. So it doesn't matter if it's ADHD, anxiety. As my youngest client with anxiety was like 7 years old, little girl. So, and was prescribed like Xanax or something. And mom says, absolutely not. And she wanted to try this first. And at the end of the day, while little girl was on neurofeedback, I realized that mom was extremely anxious and she was modeling that anxiety to little girl.
Right.
And like in IFS, there is a term called legacy burden. So a little girl already developing, carrying that burden for mom.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think mom benefited more from therapy. So what I would recommend that, first of all, in our field, in mental health field, there is no one thing that is going to help feel better 100%.
Right.
There is always combination of things.
Yes.
For ADHD, possibly medication, possibly diet, all sorts of things. So that's why I don't want parents to think that, okay, NeurOptimal cures cancer, off we go. I'm like, this is not panacea. Let's be very realistic. And unfortunately, from the beginning, I cannot predict how it's going to go. But I can tell everybody for sure there is no side effect. And you can stop.
Right.
There is no withdrawal like in medications. So in some cases, for parents who are looking for help, I would say a NeurOptimal would be the safest to start because it's not going to hurt the child in any way. Definitely, I've seen some great result with self-regulation. Kids with ADHD have temper tantrums. And in few of my child clients, moms, they notice that temper tantrum, I don't want to go to bed, this and that, they disappeared after 10 sessions.